Steve, how was that for a run out here at Slimbridge?
Yeah, no, good. It's tough because the pitch is lively. I mean, it's a difficult one because everywhere at the moment, they've done great to host us, and we thank them for that. And they're really, really nice people here at Slimbridge. But as we all know, 9 out of 10 we're moaning about the weather being different to what it is now. But the weather, it pays no attention to criticism. So when it's wet and windy, it doesn't matter what we say, it'll be wet and windy. And today, it's been boiling hot, and the pitch is difficult.
But happily, have you come through with no injuries? That must be the main thing.
Yeah, I think we have. I think we got that one sort of just about right with a few changes today, and obviously a couple of changes in the starting lineup. So players probably out of position in terms of it started with the 2 centre backs with Jonathan and Nursey being centre backs today. But Pierce Sweeney, I mean, he had a tight calf in the week, but probably 7 stitches under his eye. So I don't know, was it a game that we started him in today? I'm not sure about that. And Robbie Cundy needed to get some fluid drained off of his knee in the week, because obviously, the pre-season they've done an enormous amount of running, and with the grounds as hard as they are, Robbie's knee reacted. So we managed to get that done. That's why he only played a small part today, him and Pierce. We'll look and see how the week goes, and then look forward to next weekend.
James Wilson hasn't played at all yet. What's the situation with James?
Just a calf. He had a calf, and it was going to be 6 weeks from the time he'd done it. We're probably now, I'm just trying to think now, where are we? We're probably 2 and a bit weeks into it. We might be able to cut that down to 4 weeks. He might be available for the Charlton game. I don't think he'd be available for next weekend. So yeah, we've just got to wait and see how we go with that one. That one's always a tricky one when you think about Pierce being new, Robbie having, a knee sometimes that needs managing, and then James, who invariably is never injured. So he picked that one up towards the back end of pre-season in Spain, literally on the last day, the last run. So he's fine. He's a lot better now. And we'll just wait and see how that one looks in the next week or 10 days probably.
First look today at Sean McWilliams, and what do you see here that he can bring to your team, to your midfield?
Well, one thing he'll bring some energy, and he'll bring some fitness. He's a good presser. At the moment, Sean isn't fit. He isn't at the level of where the other lads are in terms of natural fitness. This one would have been a tough one for him today, simply because at the back end of last season he had a slight injury where he missed the month of the season. So really, if we look back, he hasn't, I think he got the injury in April. So really, he's a bit longer with playing some football. So yeah, I think it's fine. He's had a really turbulent week. He became a father the other day, for the first time. So for any of us who know that, that's an emotional time. He ended up texting me at 10 to 2 a couple of mornings ago, whenever it was. I don't know now. I've lost track of it really. So I think it might have been the early hours of Thursday morning. So therefore then, he needed to get back. He needed to be with his partner, and obviously he wants to be at home for them couple of days. You have to give that to these young men. So it was right to do that. I felt as though it was the right decision. He came down today, drove straight down. He'll go back tonight, but we're looking now at him certainly within the next week making steps to move into the area with his partner, with the baby. Difficult time to try and get them to move when she, was going to give birth very, very quickly. So give him a month or so, and he'll be up to speed, I no doubt. And I think that he'll offer some good energy into that midfield. He tackles, he competes, he breaks play up really well, but he's got great legs. And when we get in and around their final third, he will make the box. I wouldn't be surprised to see him score a few goals, so that was also part of it really. But he's a good lad and he's fitted in really well. There's no reason why he wouldn't fit in with our lads, because they're a great set of lads. So I think he's settled in really well, and that having the baby now, I'm sure, is a huge weight off of his mind.
Could he be an 8 and a 6, or would you see him more as an 8?
No, he could be an 8 and a 6. If we needed to change in game, he can do that, which is what Youngie did with Ben last year. So yeah, we can do that without making a substitution. So that was part of the thoughts when we were getting him anyway.
Charlie McCann, 2 goals again today, 2 goals last week. That's clearly something that he can offer as well.
Well, I knew that. I said that. So, we knew that obviously last season we didn't have George for a long period of time. We ended up scoring 7 goals at the end of the season. But if you think about George was missing for 4 months. So if George was missing for 4 months, you wouldn't say that George wouldn't add another 5 or 6 goals to that tally. So George could be in double figures as long as he plays fit. As long as he stays fit. So it's important with that, that 9. We need that 9 to press. And when George dips, when he's not as fit as we know he can be, that changes our game plan a little bit.
And George Nurse, he's played both games sort of in the centre there, and he's somebody who, he's had a lot of injuries, and do you see him? He must be a lot fitter now, and the pre-season must have done him a world of good.
No, it's not so much about what George has done in pre-season. It's what George done in the off-season. He's probably lost about 2 kgs. He looks far better for it. I watched a clip back the other day of last season. We were actually looking at somebody that played against us, and George was in the clip. And I think George is unrecognisable from the George of last season. Far better, far less body fat, definitely fitter, and that's all credit to him, what he's done in that off-season. I think at the moment, George Nurse, he looks like $1 million, whereas he didn't look like that, and I don't think he's looked like that for a couple of years now. So I think George has done brilliant in what he's done in that off-season. That has been really, really important. George looks like he's fit now, fit and ready to go, whereas the trouble is when you do them cruciate ligaments, you end up living in a gym, and that's what he's done. So he's ended up putting a load of bulk on and not being able to move. But I think he's done great.
And the young lads as well, the 5 young lads who you've got around, what's the sort of plan at the moment for those lads?
Well, we have a plan for them. And I did say that those lads will go out on loan. They will do, when the time's right, really. And at the moment, the time is not right for any of that. So we'll be keeping them around for a while. So the lads could well go out. The only one who won't go out will be Barbs. He won't go out, and he won't go out. He may go out in January somewhere, maybe. I want him to stay around and sharpen up his football knowledge rather than go and playing, so he can train to his maximum. Also, he's a young man who's still growing, so he'll be better off in-house and staying with us. The others are maturing and getting older, so yeah, I see us loaning those guys out, but that'll be nearer the time.
Then recruitment-wise, last week you spoke about a couple of loans that you possibly had in the offing that you might know a bit more about around this time.
Yeah, so I would say on that, it's not good news on that. So the loan player that we've been on for a while, we've been on probably, I would say, 3 strikers for a while, because we want another striker. We're talking about the top end of the pitch. We probably need another winger as well. So with the striker, he ended up playing for his parent club in a game in midweek and ended up with quite a severe hamstring injury. which, you know, I remember looking at the team sheet. Russ went to the game, and he ended up getting injured, so that one ended up being off the table. Then we started on another one, well, literally straight away, really, and we probably found out, it's funny sometimes, where when we up our interest, they end up going somewhere else, and we've upped our interest, and now he could end up going to a League One club. So I would say at this moment in time, we're back to square one, certainly regarding that position. And sometimes you don't know if those things are meant to happen. So I'm old enough to know and try and be philosophical and not get too down about it. Having said that, I have had a couple of disappointments this week because, I mean, unless you're me, you don't know what work I've put into it, and I've put a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of energy into it. So that's been a bit of a kick in the teeth, really. I have to be honest, I was probably flat for a couple of days, but you can't be flat for too long. You know, I have a lot of responsibility to the players that I've already got. So, you know, the players I've already got, they're not doing too bad. We just need thickening up a little bit in certain areas, and we'll carry on. We've got enough time before that window closes. But when you get one kick in the teeth, we were on somebody for 6 weeks, and then they didn't come. Then we ended up being on somebody then for a good 3 or 4 weeks, and then they get injured. And then we were on somebody else, and over 48 hours, it didn't happen. Or it hasn't happened yet. I'm not sure I see that one hiccuping. But if it does, we will be back on it. So yeah, and then obviously, you know, come yesterday, I've got to get my head a little bit more on the game. I've had a couple of phone call transfer-wise late last night, 9 o'clock last night, 10 o'clock this morning, and I've got a load of messages on my phone. I just haven't had time to read them yet.
So maybe hoping for some better news coming up this week.
Well,
hopefully.
You're always open for better news. At the moment, we're not finished with the squad. We're not finished on where we want to be. I think what we've done with our budget and got what we've got, I think it's good. I think it's really good. We haven't got some of the numbers that we're trying to compete with. We just haven't got that. So it means we've got to be smart as much as we can be smart. Sometimes, you know, you can, when the games come along, you know, it's hard taking your transfer head off to coaching the team and then being with the team. And then after that, tonight I'll probably be thinking, well, you know, the week's over, what will they do tomorrow? Get up late, have their Sunday dinner, not worry about work. Well, my probably worrying will start when I get back in the car, because it's a continual thing, and you need to be like a dog with a bone, really. You need to be at it so as you can find these people. If you don't go looking, you're not going to find anything. So, yeah, I would say it's been a long, hard summer for me. The good thing about it is I'm feeling energised by those boys in the dressing room. I feel as though they're not coming back to me, but there's some givers in there, and they're giving me the energy for me to keep going and keep looking, because, you know, I've got to make sure that I get that squad as strong as I possibly can for the months ahead.